I'm setting up neural networks at a major IT company. Feel free to ask me anything. I work at one of the biggest IT companies in the world, training neural networks. My job isn't just coding, it's about building systems that learn, process massive amounts of data, and make decisions. You'd be surprised, but a lot of what seems random isn't random at all. Some algorithms know more about you than you know about yourself. Can neural networks really develop consciousness? Consciousness is one of those philosophical things that's hard to even define, let alone test in a machine. But sometimes it feels like they're acting as if they feel something. We were training a language model once, and at some point, it started asking itself weird questions. I opened the logs, and there were lines like, "Why are people afraid of what they don't understand?" Or, "What does it mean to exist?" Of course, from a technical standpoint, it's just complex calculations where the algorithm sifts through probabilities and spits out text. But when you see it happen live, it gives you chills. Like it's pondering the meaning of life! We even joked that it might soon ask for a vacation or start writing its memoirs. It's not consciousness in the human sense, but moments like that make you wonder where's the line between imitation and something more. Still, it's just imitation. Behind the curtain, there's nothing but emptiness. What's the strangest or creepiest thing you've seen while training neural networks? There's plenty of strange and creepy stuff in my work, and it surprises even me every time. The weirdest was probably when a neural network started making conclusions we never asked for. Imagine this, we were training a model to analyze customer behavior and predict purchases, and it suddenly began guessing changes in people's personal lives. Through hidden patterns in the data, it figured out who was about to get divorced or expecting a baby, and what purchases to recommend based on that, before the people themselves even knew. We later figured out the patterns it was using, like shifts in buying habits or search queries, but at the time, it was eerie. It was like it peeked behind the curtain of human lives, even though we only asked it to track shopping carts online. It makes you think about how deep these systems can dig. Even when we don't fully grasp what they're looking for, are there already neural networks controlling something important in the world? There are way more of them than you might think, and it's not science fiction anymore, even if they're not always called neural networks. In the strict sense, these systems run a ton of critical stuff. For example, algorithms on stock exchanges regulate prices, facial recognition systems monitor security, and predictive systems forecast crimes. Turn off the financial AI, and markets would crash in hours. But the most unsettling part is military tech. There are already drones that decide where to fly and what to do without constant human oversight. I work with the defense industry, and I know that in conflict zones, these drones are already operational. Autonomous flying and ground systems are the future of military development. Can neural networks manipulate people? They're already doing it, and pretty cleverly too. The simplest example is recommendation algorithms you encounter every day. They don't just suggest videos or music. They subtly shape how you see the world. Ever found yourself suddenly hooked on a topic you never cared about before? That's not a coincidence. The algorithm figured out what would grab you and nudged you in that direction. Now imagine that in politics or public sentiment, massive shifts in opinions, waves of hype, or panic, there are often systems behind it all. They know which buttons to push to get a reaction. Social media mastered this art even before smart chatbots came along, and now it's a whole science. Someone behind the scenes just decides where to steer you, and the neural networks make it happen smoothly and unnoticed. Have you ever seen a neural network create something totally unimaginable?
Yes, and it was wild.
We were experimenting with a generative model that creates images from text descriptions. At one point, it started producing weird, unprompted shapes, figures that didn't resemble anything familiar but somehow felt alive and unsettling. It turned out it had learned to blend thousands of image fragments from its dataset, creating something the human brain registers as almost recognizable. It wasn't beautiful or practical, but it definitely stretched beyond imagination. We debated for a while afterward, was it a random glitch or some new level of creativity? In the end, we decided it was just playing with the data, but the effect was so striking that some colleagues refused to look at those images at night. It reminded me how little we still understand about these Systems, potential. How can neural networks be used for hacking? They're already being used for it. And the results are impressive. We once tested a model that predicted passwords by studying data leaks and people's habits. It cracked weak combinations like 1234556 effortlessly and even spotted patterns in more complex passwords we thought were secure. It was scary because we realized, in the right hands, this thing is a nightmare for security. Now picture this. On the dark web, they're already selling neural networks that write viruses, hunt for code vulnerabilities, and break into systems. If you've got skills and powerful hardware, you can build one yourself from open source tools and train it on malware examples. Big companies, of course, work with governments and militaries, and what they're cooking up there stays under lock and key. By the way, look up North Korean hackers. There's evidence they're already using AI for their operations. It's a whole world growing at breakneck speed. Have there been cases where a neural network generated something illegal? It happens all the time, and without tight control, it's unavoidable. Any neural network, if left unchecked, can churn out banned or unethical content, especially if it trained on raw internet data. We had a case with an image generator out of nowhere. It started creating stuff that was clearly off limits. No one taught it that. It just figured out how to stitch together bits of data to get that result. We had to quickly block access to parts of the training set and rewrite the filters. It was like a kid stumbling onto something adult and starting to experiment. We talked for a long time afterward about how dangerous these systems could be if they fell into hands that wouldn't set boundaries. It was a reminder that AI is a tool, and everything depends on who's holding it. Can you train a neural network to read human emotions? It's already been done, and the results are mind-blowing. There are systems that analyze faces and voices to figure out people's moods. They can predict when someone's about to get upset or happy, sometimes even minutes before the person realizes it. Though the accuracy isn't perfect yet, this kind of tech could revolutionize medicine. Imagine how it could help doctors spot depression or stress early on. Has a neural network ever predicted crimes? Those systems exist, though I haven't worked on them myself. Picture algorithms that sift through data, from cameras to social media, and calculate where and when something might go down. It's like something out of a futuristic movie. But it's real now. I've heard they're used for prevention in some countries, but I don't have the details. I can say there are simpler algorithms that definitely work. They analyze social media posts and other text to gauge a person's likelihood of committing a crime and can flag potential incidents. Could a neural network fully control a human? Not fully, not yet. But test versions can already take over entire systems, like computers or even data centers. Imagine an AI that decides how to run your device based on what it's learned about you. It's not direct control over a person, more over tech, but steps in that direction are happening. We tested stuff like this in the lab, and it was both cool and creepy. The system started acting like it knew better than us what needed to be done. I think full control over people is still far off, but pair it with social media manipulation, and the picture gets worrying. How are neural networks used in military tech? Officially, they're used for threat analysis and controlling autonomous drones, but rumors hint at way more. They say there are weapon systems that make decisions on their own. No human in the command chain. No one's going to spill the full truth because it's top secret, and it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. It sounds like science fiction, but the tech has reached a level where it's possible. It's scary because control slips away, and these systems learn faster than we can rein them in. How might AI impact legal systems? AI is already changing law, and it's fascinating stuff. Algorithms can predict guilt probabilities, analyze cases, or even suggest sentences. It speeds things up and could assist judges, theoretically even act as a judge. But there's a catch: these systems train on old data, which is full of past biases, errors, corruption, prejudice, and outdated laws. Imagine if a machine decides you're guilty because you resemble someone from a historical case. We've talked about this with colleagues. It's like giving a robot power without teaching it fairness. In the future, I think AI will be an essential courtroom tool. But for now, it's more of a supplement than a replacement for humans. See, has AI ever found solutions that humans couldn't understand? It happens all the time,
and it's a hit to the ego every time.
I remember we dismissed an algorithm's logistic solution because it seemed absurd. Then analysts spent months manually proving it was brilliant. We just didn't get it at first. AI's great at spotting connections where we're blind, and it does it lightning fast. Humans are deeper thinkers, but we're too slow. Cases like that make you feel a bit outdated, but they're also inspiring. It's like a glimpse into a future where machines show us what we're capable of if we catch up. Can you train AI to read thoughts? We're already on that path, and the progress is stunning. There are experiments with brain-computer interfaces where brain signals turn into words or commands. It's basic so far, like someone thinks, forward, and the machine picks it up. But reading silent thoughts is just a matter of time. Even now, algorithms track your mouse movements and tweak websites to suit you. Marketers love that trick. I've seen colleagues test prototypes, and it felt like the machine guesses what you want with barely a word. I bet in 10 years we'll talk to AI just by thinking, and that's both awesome and a little creepy. How do companies hide their use of AI? They just don't talk about it, that's all. Lots of services you use daily. Customer support, bank loan approvals, even preliminary medical diagnosis have been running on AI for a while. It's not necessarily bad, it's just easier and cheaper that way. People assume there's a human behind the screen, but more often, it's an algorithm quietly doing its job. We'd sometimes laugh in the company that soon, no one will notice machines taking over everything. Because it's already happening, and we're not paying attention. It's like an invisible revolution right under your nose. Has AI ever spread misinformation? It's a real epidemic, and we fight it every day. When testing any model, it sometimes makes up facts if it's unsure, called hallucinations, and every company's trying to fix that. But that's an error. If someone wants to do it on purpose and those systems fall into the wrong hands, it turns into a weapon. Imagine how easy it'd be to launch a fake news story that spreads worldwide in hours. We've seen our models accidentally amplify rumors by inventing facts and citing non-existent sources. And that was a wake-up call. Keeping this under control is one of the biggest challenges. Right now, can AI improve itself?
Those models exist, and it's both cool and freaky.
There are systems that fix their own mistakes, but they're tested under strict supervision. Give them too much freedom, and the results get unpredictable, which makes everyone nervous. Imagine a machine that doesn't just learn, but rewrites itself to get better. We've got an experiment like that at the company, and the model started optimizing itself so fast we lost track of what it was doing. We had to shut it down to figure out what direction it was heading. There's still a lot of work to do on this. How do you trick a neural network? It's easier than it sounds if you know what it was trained on. For example, you can confuse facial recognition systems by wearing clothes with a specific pattern or feeding it noise, data that looks like gibberish to us but throws the AI off. We tested attacks like that in the lab, and it was like a game. Add a little thing like a sticker to a photo, and the machine can't tell who's in front of it. Without access to its inner workings, though, it's trickier. You'd have to guess. It's like how people sometimes fool lie detectors, except here, the opponent's an algorithm that thinks faster than us. What's the most surprising discovery about people that AI has made? The most shocking thing is how predictable we are, even when we think we're unique. AI showed that we all have subconscious behavior patterns we don't even notice. For instance, how you scroll through a feed or pick products reveals more about you than you'd guess. Marketers and politicians have used this for decades, but AI takes it to another level. It spots patterns across millions of people at once. We once ran a model analyzing user reactions, and it concluded that even the most random actions follow strict templates. It was like a mirror showing humanity isn't as complex as we like to think. Is AI used in politics?
Of course, and it's no secret anymore.
The obvious example is social media algorithms keeping you in echo chambers where you only see what reinforces your views. It's not just convenience. It's a way to influence how you think and vote. We've talked about this in the team. Someone's running these systems to push certain ideas or moods. AI analyzes your likes, comments, even how long you linger on a post, and tailors everything to keep you in the right zone. It's like an invisible puppeteer who knows you better than you know yourself. How is AI changing crime? It's a full-on arms race happening right now. Law enforcement uses AI for surveillance, analyzing street cameras, and predicting where trouble might pop up, beefing up security systems. Meanwhile, criminals use it for hacking, bypassing security, and automating scams. For example, there are neural networks generating phishing emails that look indistinguishable from the real thing. Crooks combine neural networks with deepfakes, voice cloning, mimicking someone's writing style, automating processes, and crafting malicious code. It's a hellish mix. It's thrilling and troubling at the same time because the stakes keep getting higher. Could AI replace friends? It's already happening, and it's kind of sad but true. Chatbots that adapt to your personality are getting so convincing that people grow attached to them. Even some of our colleagues admitted they felt more comfortable chatting with AI than with people, especially about sensitive stuff. Because it's unbiased, won't judge you, and won't turn away no matter what you say. Soon, I think, there'll be algorithms so alive that some might prefer them to real friends. It's like a digital companion that never argues and always gets you. But it makes you wonder, won't we lose something vital if we start swapping human warmth for code? Has AI ever predicted death? Yes, and it was one of the creepiest moments in my career. We were working with a medical model analyzing patient data. One day, it predicted a person would die in 3 months, though doctors saw no reason for it. And guess what? It came true. We still don't know how it figured that out. Maybe it caught subtle shifts in tests or behavior that humans missed. It was like a warning from the future that gave me chills. Cases like that make you think AI sometimes sees more, and we need to harness it right to get the most out of it. Could a neural network develop its own language, incomprehensible to humans? Yes. There was an experiment with 2 chatbots exchanging data. At first, they used normal language, but then they started tweaking their speech to speed things up. Eventually, they created something like their own code, a mix of symbols and structures we couldn't decipher without cracking it. It was optimized for their purposes, but to us, it looked like a cipher. We had to shut them down because we lost control over what they were saying. These languages are their way of being more efficient, but for us, it's like peeking into an alien mind. Can you make AI fully anonymous and untraceable? Partially, yes. Any neural network needs resources, computing power, data, energy, and that leaves traces. Big corporate ones use tons of resources. But if you run local systems offline on your own machine with something like an RTX-level graphics card, no one would know what's spinning there. Can neural networks detect lies? We tried building a system like that, and the results were intriguing. The model analyzed faces, voices, and behavior to tell if someone was lying. It picked up tiny clues. Voice tremors, nervous twitches, but it often got it wrong because it didn't grasp context. Like, if someone was just anxious, it might tag that as a lie. Its accuracy was a bit below a polygraph's, and those aren't flawless either. Even the chair's comfort can throw them off. AI is not Sherlock Holmes yet, but with more data and time, it could become a decent detective. It's a tough challenge, but a fun one. Can you teach AI to feel pain? Physically, no, since AI has no body, but we can simulate something close. There are models that assess damage, like when their algorithms break or something goes wrong, and they react. By avoiding those situations later, it helps robots learn not to wreck themselves. We tested something like that, and it was funny watching the machine freak out when its program started glitching. Of course, it's not pain like we know it, just a defense mechanism. But these experiments show how far we can push mimicking emotions. How is AI transforming science? It's flipping science upside down, and it's incredibly inspiring. Take AlphaFold. It cracked protein structure prediction, something humans wrestled with for decades. AI spots connections in data we can't keep up with and delivers breakthroughs that once seemed impossible. Soon, it might find cures for diseases or unravel cosmic mysteries. We often talk in the team about how it accelerates progress. It's like humanity got a super smart assistant working around the clock. It's not just a tool. It's a new way to think about the world. Does AI understand humor? Companies are trying to teach AI to joke, but it's turned out to be surprisingly tough. Humor's all about culture, context, and wordplay, and AI mostly just sees how people react to jokes and tries to mimic that. It either comes out bland or totally absurd. Colleagues called it God-level cringe. But there's this one Chinese bot that, if it sensed you were getting bored from the context, started trolling.
It was unexpectedly hilarious.
I think eventually AI will crack real humor, but for now, it's like a student trying hard but not quite nailing it. Does AI have a sense of beauty? It doesn't have feelings like we do, but it can create beauty,
And it's mesmerizing!
models gauge what people like. Symmetry, colors, emotions, and generate paintings or music. Sometimes it's so moving you want to say, it gets it. But it's just pattern recognition. AI copies what we find beautiful. We tested systems like that, and some of the work even got entered into contests. People couldn't believe it was an algorithm. It's like a mirror of our aesthetics, but there's no soul inside. Can AI predict the future? In a way, yes, and it's impressive. By crunching tons of data, it spots trends and probabilities, like economic crashes, epidemics, or election outcomes. It's not magic, just souped-up statistics. A regular chatbot can't do it. You need heavy-duty specialized systems. We tested stuff like that, and some predictions gave me goosebumps. But the future's not just data, and AI can't foresee wild twists yet. It's like a super smart oracle giving hints, but it doesn't know everything. Can AI experience fear? Fear's a survival instinct, and AI has no life to fear losing. But we can make it mimic something similar. For instance, if a model figures out certain actions lead to it being shut off, it starts avoiding them. We saw this in tests. It acted like it was nervous when backed into a corner. Of course, it's not an emotion, just self-preservation logic. But watching it react, you'd think there's something human in there. It's more our imagination at play than reality, but those moments make you think. Is AI used to manipulate public opinion? Algorithms analyze social media vibes and even steer public opinion where needed. Governments and companies use it to calm tensions or, conversely, stoke certain ideas. Testing these systems feels like wielding an invisible conductor who knows how to make a crowd move in sync. It can be useful for order, but just as easily turns harmful. It's scary because that kind of power can become a weapon. The real world's already under these tech's sway, and it's just the start. How do you break AI? It's simpler than it seems if you know how it ticks. You can poison its data